Cheers. Goldfinger. The third Bond movie. This is slightly ruined for me now because there was the great Peter Serafinowicz sketch. It's Ringo Remembers and he plays Ringo Starr,
singing his unused theme for Goldfinger.
Goldfinger! Goldfinger!
Every time I hear the word Goldfinger, I think of that.
Yes!
Goldfinger!
I think this is the movie where if you ask a lot of people, what's the greatest Bond movie? People instinctively say, Goldfinger. The first one which feels like a Bond movie rather than a movie that has a protagonist called Bond in it. This is the one where you get all the elements. If you're ticking a box of Bond movie tropes, this is the one, I think the first one that gives you everything. The maniacal villain with a ridiculous plan, the gadgets, it's got the car chases, it's got an Aston Martin in it.
And lots of Bond girls. It's not just the sort of like two main women, there are just sort of women everywhere.
Dink, say goodbye to Felix. Man talk.
I understand why a lot of people sort of consider this the greatest, or this is the film that comes to mind when they think of James Bond, because it is just almost every scene is just iconic moment, iconic moment, iconic moment. It doesn't necessarily all work together to make the most cohesive spy movie, but it is just filled with things that are brilliant.
Shocking. Positively shocking.
In the space of basically 2 and a bit movies, you've gone from Bond in a hotel room putting a strand of his hair across a door to see if anyone's broken in, to North Korean soldiers firing a laser at Fort Knox so that they can plant a nuclear bomb inside. You've gone from 5 miles an hour to 100 miles an hour in the blink of an eye. You've gone so quickly. That's it, the cat's out of the bag now. This is like, we're into just, it's Bond movies now.
He's one of them, so's the girl. I'll get her, you get it all open.
Yes, I am the American person.
Yeah, I have painted myself gold, but I've left a little patch at the base of my spine so that I don't suffocate.
Peyton, you still look better than me. Is this thing where it's like a kid who's found his dad's suit?
A skinhead kid with his beard.
Because we're in lockdown again, I shaved my head because I can't get a haircut, I can't go to a barber, so I shaved my head. And I think the effect of the big jacket, the big white jacket and the shaven head is less James Bond and more Dr. Terrible.
Good night.
Ian Fleming, and I'm going to get this quote wrong, but said something along the lines of just like, move the story quick enough that people don't see the mistakes. I mean, that's definitely not what he said. I think in Goldfinger, that is one of the big successes, is that if you watch it again and again and again, like we have and a lot of people have, you go, okay, it's a bit of an odd film, but if you just watch it, you go, what a lot of fun that was.
And that's the thing, is it's so much fun. It is a really, really... There are things that, as you watch it, you go, that's a bit odd. And there are things afterwards, I think you go, not sure that makes any sense. But as you watch it, it is great fun. It really is superb fun. We were drinking all the way through.
Yeah, we were playing the drinking game. I won't say all the rules here, I'll leave the rules down below, but it's kind of what you could imagine from a James Bond drinking game.
And by my count, it was 93 drinks.
You drink when anyone says Bond, and you drink when anyone says the name of the movie.
That's what killed us, yeah.
Now hear this, Goldfinger.
Goldfinger, oh God.
Oh, shit.
I hadn't thought about that.
Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond.
Goldfinger. Mr. Goldfinger.
Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond.
Goldfinger.
Mr. Bond, 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 Mr. Bond,
Goldfinger.
Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond,
Goldfinger.
Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond,
Goldfinger.
Mr. Bond.
Goldfinger!
So the plot of the movie is James Bond is this useless spy who is tasked with figuring out how this man, Auric Goldfinger, is smuggling his gold out of countries. And then there's this bigger plot where he's planning on detonating a nuclear bomb to irradiate America's gold supply at Fort Knox to make his gold more valuable.
Well, the first time you see it, I think it kind of takes you by surprise because you think it's going to be just a bog standard bank robbery, and it isn't. It's the opposite. It's destroying a lot of gold that he could steal. And actually Bond even says in that scene,
I apologize, Goldfinger. It's an inspired deal.
It's a wonderful film, but Bond is useless.
he hasn't become the sort of impenetrable, sort of Bondish, sort of superhero-y thing that he would become in the next couple of movies. He kind of doesn't do anything right in this one. Everything he's the opposite of Goldfinger. He's the sort of the reverse Midas, where everything he touches turns to shit.
He causes the death of 2 sisters. This poor girl is murdered by being painted, smothered in gold. Like the idea of Oddjob spending hours painting it.
Just with a spray can.
He causes the death of her sister.
She's about to take revenge, and then he just blunders his way in his, this idiot in his suit and his car and everything, and she's got it wrapped up. This is it now. This is the movie ended. This is where Goldfinger dies, and he in his car driving in, and I mean, to be fair to him, she is a dreadful shot, but he gets in there and ruins everything. This idiot stood there with his hands in his pockets, watching everything like a buffoon. For most of the movie, he's been captured by the villain.
This is the silliest way to get out of prison. Pretend you were in an elevator. I don't know what this plan is. He may as well do the walk down the stairs.
Why would you go over? How easily intrigued are you? Yeah, the next one is sort of,
He writes a little note to Felix Leiter to say, this is 007. I mean, if you read that, you just go, this is a spy note. It's not even in code. You just go like...
He doesn't have any code. There's no MI6 code or CIA code. It's just in English. From James to Felix.
And then even at the end, he can't disarm the nuclear bomb. Someone else has to come in and turn it... He's like...
And even at the end, in the struggle with Goldfinger, it's basically dumb luck, which means the window gets shot.
Bond saves the day, sort of. Well, he sexually assaults a woman in a barn.
Even by Bond standards, I think this one is a bit much.
Put this comedic music over Irreversible.
Yeah.
She then tells the CIA, and then they arrange things. So she saves the day by not doing it, but it's all because he pinned her down in the hay. It's a bit odd. If you actually look at the story of the James Bond adventure, there's this British spy, and he's not very good. He immediately just says what his name is.
Who are you?
Bond. James Bond.
He's antagonistic. He gets a pair of sisters killed. He's then captured. He forcefully has sex with a woman in a barn, and then she saves the day. It's very odd, actually, when you look at the...
He doesn't even beat Goldfinger at golf. He cheats and loses at golf.
Have we got 001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9? Anyone else? This is the last guy we want.
Where's this old pal of yours headed? That'll get you one. It's a drink or a dame.
He's either drunk or he's fucking...
He's that unprofessional.
Speaking of just it's a series of iconic moments. This is the first one which has a pre-credit sequence which is totally unrelated to the main storyline. It's just a big fight scene at the beginning of the movie with a couple of quips and a big explosion that's really exciting, and it's utterly unrelated. James Bond plants some explosives and he goes back to the bar, and he's as suspicious as he was in From Russia with Love.
He's a white man in a white suit in a bar in Costa Rica or something. Sticks out like a sore thumb.
And there's this bizarre thing where he says to his contact there, he goes, better than shelling heroin-flavoured bananas.
At least they won't be using heroin-flavored bananas to finance revolutions.
Heroin-flavoured bananas sounds like something Robin says in the 60s Batman.
Yeah.
Heroin-flavoured bananas, Batman. Heroin-flavoured bananas? That means there's no heroin in it. Heroin-flavoured bananas. Who's buying them?
Yeah.
Peeling the banana. It tastes like heroin.
Recovering heroin addicts who want the great taste of heroin in a banana, but without the actual effects of being high. Shirley Bassey is intrinsically linked with the Bond movies. I think for many people is sort of the voice of Bond in terms of the theme tunes. And I think one of the reasons I would guess that so many people love this movie and consider it the best is that it's probably the first one where we get a proper Bond theme.
Goldfinger.
The first Bond just has all these circles and then a couple of silhouettes of men and women dancing. From Russia With Love had this thing where they project the credits on belly dancers' arms and on their tits and on their stomachs. But you can't quite read the credits, so it's a bit strange. And then this one, the credits at the side, and they just project moments from mostly Goldfinger. It works brilliantly, and not only does it work, but it actually makes sense for the movie because there's a woman painted with gold later. And so as a credit sequence with the wonderful Shirley Bassey song, it all works together brilliantly. It's the first great James Bond credits. They reference the other movies, the adventures that he's had with Felix. They sort of say, back in Jamaica, you Felix. But this is not connected to Spectre. This is its solo adventure, which I think is really great. And I thought that was great about Skyfall as well. Well, the first two is Quantum. Skyfall was its individual adventure, and then the really annoying thing in Spectre, retrospectively, they said Silver was a member of Spectre. And you go, no, he had a very personal plan about M, and you've shrunk the world even more. This is a very interesting thing where the Spectre, of course, is the main story of Sean Connery's Bond. But this is Bond foiling another plan. It's great. It's just a fun adventure that's not everything has to be related. Boba Fett is in it everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a great establishing shot of Miami when it begins, where it pans in and it keeps going until you have a man doing like a 450 dive splash. It's a lovely shot. It looks beautiful. The acting's great. John Barry's score is fantastic. Ken Adams' set design is amazing. So it's filmmaking at a very high level.
Well, there are some great shots, as we said as we were watching it, where you get the camera moving back, and particularly that shot with Bond. You've got Goldfinger on one level of road and then Bond on another, and then Shitty Masterfuck. What's she called?
Shitty Masterfuck, I think you got it right. I really like the slow pull out of the Bank of England where they're sitting there drinking brandy, and it's just a very clever shot which just slowly pulls out to show just how much money they've got. This endless table, and then there's the drinks and this huge room. They set up Goldfinger that he's a cheat at cards.
Could I have my usual seat?
You and your suntan.
Jill Masterson is hired to be his cheat. She doesn't do it and then sleeps with Bond. And I'm not saying she deserves to be suffocated in paint. But she did have a job to do, and she didn't do it.
And you don't feel... Yeah.
She knew who she was working for. Just some wanker turns up and goes, let's make the other guy win. She's like, I like you. After as you pointed out, he repeatedly says, have you slept with Goldfinger?
He pays me.
Is that all he paid you for?
And for being seen with him.
Just seen?
I'm Mr. Goldfinger's personal pilot.
Just how personal is that?
Strange thing, whenever he meets a woman who's working for Goldfinger, he just goes, are you fucking him? He's like this jealous boyfriend whose girlfriend's out for a drink with her colleagues or something. Oh, are you fucking them? How is Bond this insecure? He fucks so many women over the course of this, and he's... Did you fuck him? Go on, where did you fuck him?
Above a temperature of 38 degrees Fahrenheit. That's as bad as listening to the Beatles without earmuffs.
Earmuffs? I never listened to the Rolling Stones without gloves and a scarf.
Ejector seat, you're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007.
The proper first Q scene, because he is in From Russia with Love, but he basically isn't the character that you would come to know as being Q. This is the first proper Q scene where he says, we've got all these gadgets that you're gonna need and you will use in this movie. It's teasing the audience. You're gonna see these later deployed and it'll be great. And it's the first one and it is kind of momentous, but yeah, it's this bizarre thing where they just decided Bond would be bored through the whole scene.
When you say, like, you know, they set this up, this is a film with a lot of setups and payoffs.
If you fire at this close range, the bullet will pass through me and the fuselage like a blowtorch through butter. The cabin will depressurize and we'll both be sucked into outer space together.
Throughout, they plan the things that are coming up. So even if they're fucking dumb, you go, oh, it was there. It was there.
Case in point, the big laser cannon thing that they point at the door of Fort Knox.
Sean Connery is as great as he's been in any of them. He's wonderful. He is James Bond. Gert Frobe, he is a wonderful villain. He's the first great main villain.
He actually is incredible. As much as a relatable and enjoyable and fun lunatic as you can get. Particularly in the scenes where Bond and Goldfinger are playing golf. Goldfinger is just sort of fun opponent. It's just fun sort of cheating shit.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
It's such a great line, and he laughs. He delivers it like it's a joke. You're gonna die. I don't give a shit, mate. I don't care. You're gonna get sliced in half. I don't care about you. I care about gold. I'm not bothered.
And that's the opposite again of what people think of James Bond films, where the villain will then stand there and tell him everything. He just goes, fuck off and die. But his presence is great in it. The costumes, I've got to say, his costumes and everyone's costumes throughout are so good.
My name is Pussy Galore.
I must be dreaming.
Oh, so Honor Blackman is Pussy Galore, a whole lot of vagina. She's Goldfinger's private pilot, but she's also the head of Pussy Galore's flying circus, which one assumes is some commercial enterprise she has outside of the film.
Blackman is great in it. She's James Bond's first formidable love interest. One of the things I really love about Honor Blackman is that she turned down a damehood and was critical of Sean Connery taking a knighthood because he didn't even live in the UK, dodging taxes in the Bahamas.
You've asked for this.
The Mafia appear in this movie, where Goldfinger has got his financing from a lot of the 17 families across America. They are some of the most childish gangsters. And then Goldfinger does the most elaborate way to kill the one guy who says, I want my money back. Put the gold in his car, then drive, 5 miles, shoot him, take it to a trash compactor, crush the body and the car and the gold together, bring it back. We will remove the gold, kill him at your bloody bill. You're robbing Gold Knox tomorrow.
Gold Knox?
Odd Job.
This is kind of the first flamboyantly theatrical pantomime henchman. He doesn't have a character at all, but he's entertaining. He appears to be physically intimidating, a bit stupid.
Well, he's got a visual style. He has his hat, he has a shape, he has a persona. It's not a character. For a character with no character, what a character.
This is why I prefer From Russia with Love so much to any other, probably Bond film, but definitely Connery Bond film, is that you feel with the henchman from Russia with Love that it's a character, it's a proper character. I'm so much more interested in the fight with Red Grant and Bond on the Orient Express than I am with Bond and some guy with a sharp hat in Fort Knox.
Dr. No is an interesting mess. From Russia with Love is a wonderful spy movie, and Goldfinger is the first Bond movie. They kind of knocked it out of the park with each one in their own way. This is such a fun movie. I don't think Bond would be where it is today without Goldfinger.
This is where it starts to build the framework for everything that comes afterwards.
Goldfinger! Goldfinger!